Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 3rd of August 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished the day down 0.3% to 6,976 points. It just couldn't quite build on yesterday's gains to push through the 7,000 point mark. It would have been much worse, but for a strong performance by tech stocks. WiseTech Global closed up more than 3%, while Xero jumped 3.6%. The banks had a poor day. Commonwealth Bank, Westpac and Macquarie Group all fell around 1.5%. The big retailers, Wesfarmers, Woolworths and Coles, they all fell by about the same. That's 1.5%. Energy giant Santos was off 2%. Among the large caps, James Hardie Industries rose 1.5%, while South32 and QBE Insurance were both up more than 1%. Industrial property giant Goodman and iron ore miner Fortescue Metals also outperformed. In corporate news, Pinnacle Investments jumped 13% after reporting a higher than expected profit. Lion Rare Earths jumped more than 7% after it announced a $500 million expansion at the Mount Weld mine to meet demand for its ore. New delays to the long-awaited CHESS replacement project sent ASX shares down nearly 4%. It, in fact, was the worst performer on the day. Story number 2, June quarter retail sales volumes hit a new record, but analysts warn that higher inflation rates and cost of living pressures are starting to bite. Retail sales volumes were up 1.4% despite higher prices. It was the third consecutive quarterly rise. Cafes, restaurants and takeaway food services led the way, but clothing, footwear and personal accessories also did well. The bad news is that economists don't think it will last and point to slumping consumer confidence as evidence. That played out in the share market today with a bunch of consumer discretionary stocks, including Domino's Pizza and JB Hi-Fi, falling. Story number 3, there's some hope that the winter COVID outbreak has peaked. Federal Health Minister Mark Butler isn't quite celebrating yet. There has been a reduction in case numbers in recent days and a near 10% reduction in hospitalisations down to 5,000. Mr Butler said he was hopeful that the latest BA4 and BA5 Omicron variants might have peaked earlier than expected. Meanwhile, he said the Vaccine Advisory Group had not recommended the rollout of vaccines to all under 5s because young children have a very low likelihood of severe illness. But kids between 6 months and 5 years who are immunocompromised, have complex health conditions or are with a disability will be able to get a jab from next month. Story number 4, one of the country's largest home builders, Metricon, will cut 9% of its 2,500 staff as it battles to keep afloat. Many in the construction industry have been hit hard by rising prices. Metricon is the country's largest home builder with more than 6,000 new home starts last year. And finally, story number 5, US Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan today, provoking Chinese military aggression near the island. Ms. Pelosi said her presence in Taiwan was an unequivocal statement that America stands with the democracy of 23 million people. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen awarded Ms. Pelosi one of the country's most important medals and said her country would do whatever it takes to strengthen its self-defense capability. More significant to the rest of the world is China's response to the visit. Beijing called it egregious and denounced it as extremely vicious, saying it will have grave consequences. China has already blacklisted imports from 100 Taiwanese companies and flown military drills near the midpoint of the Taiwan Strait. It today threatened more military exercises and warned commercial airlines not to fly in the region. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 3rd of August 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. The top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.